Hi, today I will be discussing the usage of immunosuppressants and more specifically the long-term health implications of organ recipients. So this study was based in the field of immunology and was done by me, Samira Sharma, along with the help of Professor Virgil, Dr. Prahlad, and numerous other contributors. So to start, my study was focused on the effects of immunosuppressants in the health of patients, as the positive aspects of immunosuppressants, which are mostly how they prevent organ rejection and help treat diseases, but those often overshadow the many implications with immunosuppressants, which are the many equally detrimental side effects. So through my research, I aim to address the debate on whether immunosuppressants should continue to be used or not due to the many possible side effects. And I did so from evidence from numerous articles I found that I felt had held some relevancy to the debate. And some additional questions that I was able to answer through my research was how we can address this issues with immunosuppressants in the future, how immunosuppressants can lead to like the prominent side effects of like cancer, infection, cardiovascular risk. And I also was able to find out which age groups were most affected and why. And then moving on to my literature review, a study I focused on that held some relevancy was the one performed by Elisa Temperman and colleagues at the Canadian Literature article. And they basically focused on the side effects of certain immunosuppressants. And one that I was able to focus on was corticosteroids. And they talked about how like some inhibitors such as like TNIs and CNIs can cause like alterations in gene expression, and how like the balancing of like the certain drug compounds and immunosuppressants is really important to ensure that there's no like negative side effects. And then I also included this table on the right here from Ruse and Kirk, and it basically just highlights the many main side effects of corticosteroids. And then I also just wanted to mention, like, a limitation of my research that I found like held some significance was the uncertainty of many studies, as they cannot say with full confidence whether immunosuppressants are fully responsible for like the many side effects such as like cardiovascular disease, infection, cancer, because there's many other external factors to consider, such as like the medication a patient's taking, like the state a patient is in, and other like external things, I guess. Could you switch to the next slide? Thank you. So this study was conducted as a literature review, analyzing the works of scholarly articles produced within the last 20 years that have contributed to our current understanding on immunosuppressant use. So my main finding was that immunosuppressants cause detrimental side effects to the health of patients, and basically the most prominent side effects I found was cancer, infection, diabetes, and cardiovascular risks. And some additional findings I was able to make was that through my studies, and a lot of them mainly focused on age groups, as I mentioned earlier. So I found that most patients 60 years of age or more were more prone to side effects, as like medicines remained in their bodies for longer. so they were more prone to diseases and other side effects. So to reiterate my main focus of this study, I aim to provide insight and clarity on the current issues of immunosuppressants and compare them to the other beneficial effects. So I tried to weigh the two factors against each other. And then based on all the data I collected, I was able to find that it is evident that immunosuppressants can have dire consequences on the health of patients. And major improvements need to be made in the health of patients and immunosuppressant use to ensure that we can optimize its use. And an important finding I was able to make through my studies was such as the one provided by this one study I looked at by Jay Fishman. Increase in immunosuppressant dosage is the main contributor to side effects, as when looking at the reduction in side effects to the relation of drug concentration, they both increase next to each other. So I thought that was an important finding, and that really makes us focus on how immunosuppressant use should be advanced and utilized in a different direction, and we should really focus on the dosages that patients are taking. Also, so then for my methodologies, I also found for studies, they varied greatly amongst each other, and many provided limited explanations for how they came to their findings, and many I found had contradicting conclusions. And I just thought that that was an important factor to consider, as whether immunosuppressants actually cause such detrimental side effects, or if these studies are just not exactly in the same field as one another. So I thought that was an important thing to mention. And most studies were also a relatively short duration, so I thought that was another contributor that could serve as a limitation to my study. And that's it.
I'm sorry, I was on mute. You want to share your experience of the program?
Oh, yeah. So my experience with the program, I thought my two mentors, Dr. Prahlad and Professor Virgil, they both provided a lot of insight on how I should go about doing my research project and how to perform the presentation part. So I was able to receive a lot of direction from them. Professor Virgil offered me more instruction and how to structure the introduction and the process of going through the research. And Dr. Prahlad helped me add more information to my study, because I was initially only focusing on the side effects, obviously, but I should obviously also consider first discussing clinical studies, beneficial attributes of immunosuppressants, and that sort of area as well. So I felt like they were really able to help me develop my research presentation and paper.
Wonderful, Maya. A big round of applause. Immunosuppressants, I mean, I can't even pronounce that, and you did the whole research on that. Dr. Prahlad, any questions for Maya?
I have one question for, I think, everyone, so that Maya also. If you were given support, money, and lab, what alternative would you pursue then? What do you think, anything you would do to study this further?
That's a good question. So I really focused, like I mentioned earlier, CNI and TNI inhibitors, and I would probably maybe do a lab based on the usage of inhibitors and immunosuppressants, because I think we should also consider the contents that make up immunosuppressants to fully determine what's causing side effects. So something based in there.